Transformers more than meets the eyes. This is Chucky from Collecting for Fun, and today we are going to finish our review, our full review of Blaster and Eject. This is a Studio Series 86 based on the Transformer the movie. So here, my friends, is Blaster. We see Eject coming out of there. Let's put this chest plate back in, and we'll straighten him up there. Get Blaster already. And so let's have a look at Eject. First, here's Eject here. Let's transform him out. And he's a fairly straightforward transformer for the cassette. There's really not a lot to it. His hands, like everything's kind of, what do you call it? There's not much joint mobility in anything outside because his hands are right there. They don't hold anything. His head, it just swivels 360 degrees. His arms do bend up and down, but the hands do not hold any guns. There's no accessories. His feet, again, they don't flip out. They're just part of the mold there. And yeah, it's a fairly straightforward transformation. So really, to transform this, I'll do this quickly. I The mold is simple enough for the cassettes. It's nothing special. There's no way you can add accessories like things to the back or into the hands. So I don't know. It's very straightforward and simple. There's not much to this one. So you turn the head, you're gonna flip that back into here. The arms, you're just gonna fold in. You're gonna turn that, just gonna fold that in. Fold that in. And then the feet, you're going to kind of collapse. Sorry, I turned it the wrong way. You're just gonna kind of turn it and collapse it inwards. Same thing on this side, and then you collapse it inwards. And that more or less is the cassette done, okay? And that hides into there, into that slot there. I think I have it upside down. Fit in nicer. Maybe it's backwards. Yes, it's backwards. Okay, there you go. So that, my friends, is Eject. Nice add-on, but the highlight, my friends, is Blaster. Okay, so here's Blaster. He's got the one finger, so he can open up his cassette thing. So the one finger sits there. His fingers do not move, so you get somehow he can also hold a gun while his fingers like that. So the gun's over here. I'm gonna pop that off. Figure itself looks pretty strong, pretty decent. The head shape looks like Blaster's from the 86 cartoon movie and as well as the cartoon series. It does swivel all the way around. Arms do move very nicely up and down, like up to there to shoulder length, down, spins all the way around, both sides, bends up pretty good. The arms do swivel, but they don't swivel in, they swivel out for the transformation. They swivel in a little bit. The fingers do not move. As far as the legs, he does have pretty good knee bend. Bends up to there. His foot does swivel. Sorry, swivels more inwards, and it doesn't swivel out. But the knee does join all the way around if you want it to, and that happens on both sides. And he can do the splits this way, and he can move his legs this way pretty good. You have to lift the flap in the back here to get his legs to move all the way back. So pretty good joint mobility on this one. And again, of course, you can open the cassette. All right, so that, my friends, is Blaster. I really do like the figure. It's not too bad at all. But let us go ahead and actually, you know what? Before I transform him, let me just pull out a mold of the original Blaster. Now, this is not original G1. This is the Walmart re-release, so it is the same size and portion. You can see the difference in the head. That has blue eyes, silver head, and a little more kind of antenna thing going on there. That's more as it was in the cartoon with the kind of more sculpted face there. The cassette, obviously the size, huge. So the original Transformer was not at all proportional to what it was in the cartoon, because this was much bigger than most of the Transformers. You can see how thick these arms are. The cassette thing was much more narrow, more square. Okay, and the eject button. Hold on, let me put my camera down. Eject button was, I think, one of these buttons, or does it? Well, it does opens anyways. One of these buttons is supposed to open it, but I guess mine doesn't open as well. And obviously no mobility whatsoever. I can't move these legs out. It can only just split this way. But you can see the gun shape, they kept fairly similar, as far as like they got the circle cannon and everything else. So the aesthetic of it, they kept, as far as most of what we know and love of the original figure, but they've improved upon it to make it look more of how it was in the cartoon. So I do like the improvement. It is scaled to size of the other Transformers of that series. So let me put that out of view there as much as possible. And we got, this is the classic Optimus Prime. So you can see Optimus Prime in comparison is taller than the Blaster, which he is in the cartoon. And Blaster is one of the few G1 Transformers that from the original line, well, I guess he came in the second season, to survive the purge of the movie. Only him and just very few. Bumblebee survived. Jazz did, but don't really acknowledge him afterwards because unfortunately the voice actor passed. Um, Here's Ironhide. You can see how he's managed there. So he's much taller than Ironhide. We have Perceptor, who also survived the purge, and so they still share their banter back and forth in seasons 3 and I think 4 as well. And so it's nice that at least some of my favorite Transformers survived the purge. And then we can see how he compares to some of the newer Transformers. And when I say new, obviously new to the '86 movie when it came out. We have Springer here, about the same height. He's a little bit taller, but close to the same height. The shoulders are about the same height. I think maybe the head's throwing me off. Maybe they're about the same height. So there you go, comparison there. So yeah, fairly good in terms of scale. Very, very good. Okay, so let's go over how to transform this guy. He's not terribly difficult. Not terribly difficult. There's certainly much more harder transformers. So first of all, we're going to collapse the arm. Okay, we're going to take the arm, and turn it, and we're going to collapse it, and like so. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to turn the hands up. Oop, sorry. And we're going to collapse it like so. Okay, and that's will become clear why we're doing that in a moment. We're going to also hide the head. Okay, so there's a trusty little thing where the head just collapses down. You don't have to turn it or anything. It just folds in. So that's all done there. Okay, so now we're going to play with the feet. First of all, we're going to turn this fella around here. All right, so that turns around. And then we're going to start to play with the leg areas here. Okay, so let's open up this opening here. So we have to do a couple things when we turn that open. We're going to flip this thing up. This is this part here. Okay, and then we're also going to, there's a little speaker here. We're going to turn that around. We just push it and spin that around. We're also going to collapse the foot. Okay, and then we're going to turn this up this way. And we're going to start to just kind of fold that in. And then there's a slot in here where the hand will just kind of hide away very nicely. We're going to close that together. Sorry. There. This has to also, sorry, I have to line this up to the hands. Let me get these lined up first. Yeah. This has to come in like this. We just got to, oops, sorry, the hand moved on me there. Okay, so now we got lined up, and we just kind of collapse this in on this side. And it's obviously easier when you do both legs at the same time. So let me get this thing ready on this side. So we're going to collapse this foot in. We're going to open up this red thing. We're going to flip this thing up. And we have to turn the speaker on the side now, because once we push that against that hand here, it will not, you won't be able to collapse it. So we're going to turn that now. Okay, get the lined up there. And then we're going to start to collapse this in. Line it up a little bit. Make sure that's inside there. There we go. Oops, this thing moved on me. Okay, and we just kind of collapse everything in. And there we have, for the most part, it's done. We obviously need the handle now. Okay, the handle's pretty easy. It's right here. we're going to flip this up, turn that over, flip this up, turn that over, and they connect in the middle. And there we go. Okay, so there we have Blaster. Open that up, and there we have there. So fairly straightforward. It's nice to have a more straightforward one once in a while. So we're going to go ahead, and you can see how this looks. It looks pretty good. You know, it looks like a retro ghetto blaster from the 80s. Um, and it's very true to the original toy, but obviously adding in some design to make it more in line with the cartoon and the movie, as well as sticking true to the design of the original toy. So I think they did a really good job there. And so let's go ahead and transform this back. We're going to reverse what we just did. We're going to pull these the handle apart, and we're just going to collapse it into the slots right there, from there, into here, and then we're going to open it. Now, when you pull these out, you have to push it forward first, otherwise you're going to not lock it. Okay, so you're going to push that out. You're going to push this out. Okay, and then we're going to let's not forget to turn the speakers. So we're going to turn these here. Now, before you collapse this in, you got to remember to close this down, close that in. Now, sometimes it's hard to get these feet down, so that's nice that they have the pivot there, so you can just grab it and push it down, and then put that there. And then we're going to just turn that foot backwards because we're going to spin the whole hip around afterwards. And so we're going to do the same thing with this leg here. We're going to turn this down. We're going to turn that speaker around, but well, we can. Turn that in, okay? And then we're going to collapse this in again. And then, again, we're going to pivot that foot out a little bit so that we can grab it, turn it. It's a little bit stiff, at least mine is. So there we go. Now we have the feet there. Now we're just going to lift this flap, turn this hole around here, and bring that back there. All right, so that, my friends, is that part done. Now let's get the arms out. We just have to kind of stretch everything out, turn the hand in, and then bend it. Same thing as we're just going to stretch everything out, turn around in, and bend it. And then the last thing we got to do is find his head. So we're going to push this down here, and then we're just going to get our thumb just to kind of push this area up a little bit and grab it. You do really have to have sometimes small fingers to get in here, because I do have small hands, but you know, so to try to pull these things out, because this, unfortunately, this doesn't collapse, or it doesn't go down very far, so you have to really pull that out. All right, and there, my friends, is Blaster. And if I had to mention where to put this when he does transform, there is definitely a couple different spots where it can hook into. So that's usually where it go, just so you know where it is. If it's in the Ghetto Blaster mode. And so yeah, that, my friends, is Blaster. I think it's a nice addition to the Studio Series line. A little bit hard to get these days, but if you can track it down, and if you like Blaster, it's definitely worth getting. Blaster, again, one of those unique Transformers, because he was a product, like most of the Transformers, a product of time, right? I mean, a lot of the vehicles obviously have evolved over time, so but they're still vehicles, so we still use them. But no one really uses Ghetto Blasters or cassettes nowadays the way they used to. Yeah, you may have like speakers that kind of look like it, that you can hook up to your iPhones now, but we used to have to play music through cassette tapes that sit in here, just like this guy here, and it kind of looked like that, but not exactly. Okay, and then we will put that in here, and then that's how we actually played music back then. But now we obviously have our MP3 players, our phones, and things like that to do it for us, or just play it off any device, and that's how we get our music now. But before, we used to do it the other way. And so Blaster, I don't know if, what he would be nowadays. It'd be much different, because obviously there's no such thing as cassettes. He's kind of like he is the Autobot version of Soundwave, and obviously there is, you know, it was classic in the day. Let's put it that way. And I do love these characters. Here's Soundwave, by the way. This is the legacy Soundwave, so I can only assume will be the same proportion as far as height goes for the Legacy, the Studio Series thing, with probably a much different paint job. But that's the height comparison if that's the case, and it looks in line. Soundwave is a bit shorter than Blaster, so it'd be good to have the Studio Series version of Soundwave eventually. Hopefully, they do come up with it before they discontinue that line, the Studio Series 86, and so we can have them together. And I'm hoping they get all the cassettes between the two of them. I hope they had all the cassettes available. But yeah, so that, my friends, is that. And you know what? I forgot to compare the cassettes. So here's the Frenzy. So let's see how Eject compares to Frenzy. And we also have Rumble, but this is the Legacy Rumble, not the Studio Series 86. But to be honest, he is so close to the Studio Series 86, I don't think I am going to even bother trying to track one down. They are so very close to each other. So again, not not much to the transformation of this guy. Um, is much simpler. He looks a lot shorter, eh? he is seems to be shorter than, yeah, height wise. He's a bit shorter. Um, Width wise, the shoulder width is about the same. The transformation of the Frenzy is a little bit different and more complicated. I think in the original Transformer toy, the transformation was the same. And I'm not sure if this one actually came with accessories. I don't remember, because I don't remember actually having Eject as a child. So anyways, that's the only thing I'm looking at there, is that the Eject is a little bit simpler. I wish they had a little bit better cassette included, but it is what it is. Blaster is the main event, so yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed this review of a Blaster. To me, I like it. I mean, I'm a fan of Blaster, so maybe I have a little bit of bias. I like the toy. Looks pretty cool to me, and it works for me. So yeah, so we will see you guys next time. This is Chucky from Collecting for Fun. And again, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. We are working hard to get ourselves to 1,000 subscribers, at which time I am going to unbox a Robosen Grimlock. And you can see this is the Studio Series 86 Grimlock, and that itself is awesome. And so when we get the Studio Series 86, or sorry, when we get the Robosen Robosen Grimlock, this is an auto transforming Grimlock, and we're going to be unboxing that and doing some cool videos with our other Robosen Optimus Prime. And so hopefully we can bring that video to you soon. So please help the channel out, and we'll be able to bring that to you guys. This is Chucky from Collecting for Fun. Thanks so much for watching. Take care. Bye.